Okay, we're going to take a look at another ecological relationship. That means ecology means the study of the relationship between living things and their environment. So we want to try to cover as many as we can. And I'd like to show you one slide here and see what you think. Okay. Some of you may have been down to a beach during the summer, and if the beach is a state park or a federal park, the whole shoreline is protected and it's not developed, so you're really in an environment that the way it was for many, many years. And if you've ever been on the beach, you may want to walk inland, and as you do, you will find out that you will start passing through different plant communities along the beach. And the very first plant community is usually, on most beaches, grasses that grow in the beach sand. They don't grow close to the water. When you go near the water, you don't see plants growing in the sand. How come they're not growing in the sand, but they're growing a little further away on the upper beach? The conditions in the environment are different along the shore than they are on the upper beach. And one of them is salt. When there's a wave impact, there is salt throwing up into the air. Very fine, misty water vapor containing the salt. And the salt, as some of you may know, can cause plants to die. When dogs go to the bathroom on the lawn, their urine is very high in salt, and it kills the plants. You can see little yellow patches of the grass, and people will put signs on the lawn, stay or keep your dog away, because the dog doesn't know, obviously it doesn't know, but the salt kills some of these plants. So this is further away. So as you walk in, and you get less ancestral, and more plants will start growing. You get shrubs, weeds, and if you go far enough, you'll eventually reach trees. So here we have an interesting situation of different plant communities over distance. And so we sometimes refer to this as succession. One plant community follows another one over time, not over time, but over distance or space. This is one type of ecological succession. Okay, another one happens to be on a volcanic island. And let's go back, like the Hawaiian Islands are all born from volcanic eruptions, and many other islands. In the Iceland, we have islands that have come up where the lava comes up, and over hundreds of thousands and millions of years it increases, creating a stony island. And it's originally all stone. Well, what happens over a period of time on that stone? It may take weeks, maybe months, but eventually something will begin to settle on the stone. And the first living creature actually consists of either algae or lichens, Lichens. You remember from your early studies, lichens are found, they dominate in the tundra, and they're plant-like organisms, not with roots. They're not true plants. They're consisting of part algae and part fungus, but they grow in primitive conditions, mostly on rocks. You find them on tombstones, you find them on the barks of trees, and you'll find them on stone. And what they do is they produce acids that eventually wear away the stone. So after a few months, maybe even a couple of years, it takes some time, is this happens to be a lava, the tropical island where the lava was settled as stone. And as you can see here, there's some the algae first, lichens first, and what appeared next are some grasses. And in some areas it grows much faster, some shrubs. And and in other areas where the stone was laid down even earlier, so it took a time for succession to occur, we have trees. So here we have a case of ecological succession occurring over time. And so every one of these cases of ecological succession always starts with a green plant, just like in the food chains, okay? And the green plant is the first to appear. So if we go back here, like on this land, the grasses would be the first to be seen. So that since they're first to appear in an area, it's referred to as a pioneer plant. The pioneer means the beginning. And the progression goes from pioneer plants through shrubs, so shrubs will follow. The pioneer plants will break up the soil in such a way that shrubs will grow. So the pioneer plants transform the soil so seeds from weeds will grow very nicely. The grasses won't disappear, they'll still be among the weeds, but the weeds will begin to dominate the area and be all weedy. And then if you wait long enough, weeks, months, and sometimes years in some cases, seeds from a tree will fall down in the soil, and those shrubs will change the soil even further so that trees can be supported. And so, and eventually over sometimes a very long period of time, eventually you'll have colonizing that empty stony island forests of trees. And we begin to see that a lot in the tropical areas, tropical forests developing on these remote islands. Along with the appearance of the plants, you have animal creatures. So when we talk about ecological succession, we're talking about plants, not animals, because animals move around, but plants are stationary. So plants are the dominant species in ecological succession. They will support the growth and the survival for various animals, but it's the plants that define succession. The last plant to appear in an area is the tree. And since it's the last one, nothing follows the tree. There's nothing more bigger, taller than a tree. So they call this the climax community. So every example of ecological succession always starts with a pioneer plant and ends with a climax community. Pioneer community, climax community. And this is an example here of the volcanic island, all rocky. Starts first of all coming up out of the surface. This was one only recently was photographed in the South Pacific. The lava came up and boiled the water to steam, and eventually the rock formed. And over time, with algae, first algae, grasses, little plants later, and eventually, yeah, we have one that has some trees beginning to form here, palm trees. And we can see here there's a forest of palm trees. Now the same ecological succession also occurs naturally in forest areas where you may start with a lake, and of course the water from the lake comes from the rain or the runoff, or there may be some underwater streams, so this lake may be there for many, many years, for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. But eventually some lakes, the amount of rainfall may change so that there's more runoff, more water coming in, more erosion of the soil here, and what happens, it brings in soil. Sediment is called it. So eventually, over many, many years, the runoff of water, which may have been pure water at one time, changed and takes in sediments. So eventually this lake may change into a pond. And then eventually the pond will become a marshland. With a lot of moisture in here, you can actually sink right into your knees on this. But it started hundreds of years ago as a lake. So not all lakes are like this, but some lakes will evolve from a lake to a pond to a marsh. That's another example of ecological succession. So at the end of this series of slides, we have some questions for you. Please answer those questions. You can print them out, and we will give you credit for the questions that you answered. They will help you in understanding the subject matter even more. You can use your syllabus to help you out here, and also we do recommend that you use your textbook, which is in the introduction material which you have. The textbook is very expensive if you were to buy it new. However, if you can find earlier editions, they are much cheaper and more reasonable to buy. In fact, in some cases, if you get online, they're giving them away. A $150 textbook can be bought for $2.50. It's an older version, but it basically has enough of the material that will still help you in this course. So if you can't afford the newest edition of the textbook that's listed for you, please feel free to get something online that's much, much cheaper, $5, $10, even less than that in some cases. And good luck to you. Thank you.